Alright guys, we're back. We're doing it again. Gotta say, thoroughly enjoyed making these videos. I'm glad you guys like them too. I'm glad you guys are getting something from it. Let's go. Let's check out this game with Dbmillan. Alright, so right off the bat, unfortunately I only got one trade. Fortunately, there is a one drop, and it's a damn good one. Obvious play, obvious buy, and I'm going to get 5 trade later. There's a lot of good stuff out there for 5 trade. My opponent picks up Assault Pod. I like this play a lot, especially if he's got 5 trade. He can go Assault Pod Patrol Boat, which is great, but it clearly signals like, hey, I'm trying to go aggressive here. Like, I'm trying to win this game, and there's a lot of blue stuff out here, so maybe it's not quite as advisable, because the likelihood of me being able to build a deck that counters aggro is kind of high, but I always like the aggressive approach. So he ends up getting an Explorer. Yeah. That's still fine. It's still a good play, because he still gets trade, he gets to attack, and he doesn't leave me with a ton of options. But he flips a Cargo Mech for me, so of course we're going to get Cargo Mech. Now I have a trade edge on him. There's lots of blues out here. I'm thinking a long game deck. I'm already thinking probably going to play some sort of heal, scrap strategy, extend the game. That's the plan. And since he's kind of signaled he's already going aggro, I've already got plans to counter him in my head. And he picks the Oral Platform. This is another play that I really like. He is comboing it with the Assault Pod. He's continuing his aggressive strategy. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah, I like it. The only problem is, though, he's tipping his hand even more. So if I wasn't sure if he was going to go aggressive in the beginning, now I know for sure he's going aggressive. So I get rid of the patrol boat because I don't want him to have a patrol boat. I want to be the only one getting a patrol boat. Patrol boat is actually a really good card. If you notice, Security Craft, 4 damage, 3 heal. What's patrol boat? 4 damage, 3 heal. They're basically the same card. The only difference is this is 2 heal versus 3 trade. So I don't want him to have 3 of these, or potentially 2 of the same card. Him being able to heal up is going to counter my strategy. If he goes aggressive heal, and I go heal scrap, he's going to win. So I scrap the Viper, because now I end up buying the defense bot, and here's why. I'm trying to control scrap. I think it's more important for me to control scrap than it is to control healing. And since he's kind of shown that he's going aggro, and there's a lot of blue cards out here that I can use for defense, I'm okay with foregoing picking up Patrol Boat or Security Craft, because I know I'll be able to get one of them later. And looks like my opponent is grabbing yellow cards anyway, so it's fine. So I end up picking Security Craft. I want that trade. I want to be able to get these big blues later. Oh yeah, look at this. Look at this. Looking good. So he picks up Mobile Market. I like that play too. Mobile Market's a really great card. It's very versatile. It gives you card draw. And so you notice what he's doing. He's making a yellow deck. And so yellow decks are really good at drawing cards and making your opponents discard cards. So it's all about card advantage, right? You get to draw more cards than your opponent, and your opponent has to discard, and so he gets to play less cards than you do. It's a good strategy, and Mobile Market fits into that strategy really well. So, again, I like most of the plays that Dbmillan has made so far. All of them, in fact. Yep, look at this. Scrapping, boom, Ion Station. Easy buy. Easy buy. Ion Station pairs really well with Security Craft. But even if it doesn't, it's still 5 block, it's still 2 trade. It's going to allow me to buy whatever the hell I want. We're furthering our blue-red heal scrap strategy. Yep, sends the Viper away. So he's looking to make some buys. Yeah. 2 really good buys now. Now he's got trade, and he can be more aggressive. He can get big stuff if he wants. I think this is fine, but I would also say that I don't think his deck is trying to get big stuff. I think Patrol Boat is actually the better play here. I think you want to start chipping away at me more now. The thing is I've clearly signaled that I'm going for scrap. So I'm playing a kind of a mid-range deck, right, in terms of time, right? Aggro is your fastest deck. It's trying to kill your opponent right away. It's trying to shorten the game. Whereas scrap, if you have a pure scrap deck, you want to play kind of a mid-game strategy, right? It takes a little while for scrap to catch up. But then once it does, once that ball starts rolling, it really crushes you. So if I were him, and since I've already got a fairly aggressive yellow-based deck, I think getting just more damage is a better play than getting more trade. So this is the first time where I kind of disagree with his thinking in terms of what he's buying. I don't think it's a bad play per se. Like, I understand the thought process behind it, but I think there's a better thought process here. I think there's a better plan for this game that he could take. So here's another one. I've talked up Patrol Boat quite a bit, but I think this is a case where even though this card doesn't do any damage, it's actually better for my deck. Because remember, the way I'm winning this game is I'm scrapping hard. I'm going to become very efficient, and I'm going to heal. Well, what does Coalition Freighter do? It's blue and red. It allows me to top deck ships. It allows me to scrap. It gives me 3 trade. It does everything that I want to do. So this card is actually going to be really versatile and really, really, really good addition to my deck. It does suck that the captured outpost is sticking around for so long, though. Yeah. Yeah. See, so he's kind of going yellow-blue now. Maybe not yellow-blue, but he's getting bases, and like I said, I don't agree with this non-aggressive strategy he's suddenly employing when he had clearly signaled in the beginning that he was going to be aggressive. Maybe he's changing tone, like maybe he's pivoting. You know, maybe he was going down the aggressive strategy and he says, okay, that's not going to work. Let me pivot and try something else and try to play a bit of a longer game, which is fine. But I think he would have been better served to just lean into the aggressive and just go for it. Because that counters scrap better than playing the long game. Because again, scrap, when you play the long game, will usually win. Because it becomes more efficient over time than a deck that has, like, bases, for instance, or has healing. And because he kind of halfway committed to it, now he's trying to change his plan halfway through the game, and that means that his plan is going to be less developed than my plan. So, Scraps Explore, I think that's fine. Scrap, 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 good. And now I pick up a Turbo. That's about damn time. So now, look, we got a great scrap down deck. We got lots of healing. We got a good amount of damage. I feel very secure in this game now. Ooh, double draw. Nice, nice. Ooh, wow. Look at this. Oh, and then he picks up Nanobot Swarm. Okay, so this changes the complexion, right? Completely changes the complexion. I cannot play a long game strategy anymore. I have to get my deck as efficient as possible, and I have to win this game freaking now. Which means I'm not getting Transit Nexus. I'm not getting Lookout Port because they do not do damage. I have to get freaking Siege Fortress now. I have to start killing my opponent right away. Oh man, this is brutal though. Look at these 2 bases still out there. Wow, 3 bases. Do I win this game? It sure doesn't seem like it. Let's back this up. Let's see what he does here. Yeah, so he plays the Outland Station. He gets the Fortress Oblivion. Then he gets the cargo launch. Okay, yeah, these are fine. I would argue that he maybe didn't need the cargo launch, but I think it's fine. You got the trade, you go for it, right? He still gets to heal. Problem is, though, he flips the Fed battleship for me. So now I'm loving life. Yeah, there you go. And that's like 3, 5, 6. Wait, how did I have enough to afford that? Oh, I had a scout. That's what it is. Okay. I was like, wait, I don't have enough. Yep. See, and then we kill all his bases. We get the Fed battleship. We are loving life right now. We are sitting pretty. Go ahead, take the transit next. This is going to be too late, right? Because notice when he put it in there, he's going to have 2 cycles before he even gets to it. So, I'm not even worried. I'm not worried. It's weird to say that. Like, the guy has 2 8-drops in his deck. But I'm not worried because now my scrap edge, thanks to these 2, is like so far ahead that even a card like Nanobot Swarm is not going to catch up. Ah, that was an interesting play. So I actually was trying to keep yellows away from him, right? So here, bought the defense center, right? Red base. I think that's a fairly obvious play. Um, in theory, you could say I should have gotten Destroyer Bot, but I also think he's building a base deck now. So I'm prioritizing keeping bases away from him than I am keeping scrap away from him now. Because again, my scrap edge is so big, it's probably not going to matter. But then I also keep I buy the Alliance Transport because I wanted to keep the yellows away from him. And now that I have an Assault Pod too, it kind of combos with that. And I have blues, so it actually really works really well for my deck. So this was a bit of a hate buy, but it was also, help my own deck too. It's questionable whether I needed it. While it does help, it's not very active. And I'm kind of okay with my opponent having cards that aren't really that active, but it does discard. And that's the other thing I was worried about, was that he was going to get a discard deck. And then that can beat any deck if it gets going. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, see he's going bases, right? He's just going to buy every single base he possibly can. Yeah. Now I'm just scrapping hard, man. I'm gonna buy that destroyer bot now, more for the damage than for the actual scrap. Boom, nanobot swarm. Oh, it's a good one too because he gets to shuffle because of it. Nice, nice. Warpgate Cruiser. I mean, it's a good card, but kind of, I don't know. He may not get to it. You know. All right. Yep. This is fairly standard. Draw the cards, destroy the base. Mobile Market's a good card. I'm going blues, so I like this. Oh, and then he just has a freaking terrible turn. Like, this is... Man, this is kind of unlucky, you know? This is just flat out unlucky on his part. My bases survive. I can put up a base wall now. A top deck construction hauler. Like, oh my god. Now this game is over. Like, it turns that fast. You know, he had a bad turn at the absolute worst time. But I like what he was trying to do. I don't think that his plan was poor. He just kind of got caught. And that's the tough part, is when you do decide to pivot, whether you are aware of it or not, because some players don't have a plan for their hand and they just, they pivot and they don't realize they're doing it. Or, which I think is actually the case here, I think Millman realized that he could not. Oh, it's Dbmillan. I keep saying Millman. It's sorry. It's not Millman, it's Millen. I think DB realized here that a pure aggro strategy wasn't going to work. I had acquired too much healing. I had a little too much scrap. And I think he was smart to go, okay, well, how am I going to beat a deck that has scrapping and healing? If I set up a base wall, there you go. That was the thought. And he clearly pivoted to a base strategy, about halfway through. While I disagreed with that thinking, I was more of the mind to just go all in for aggro. The plan makes sense. There are 2 strategies that, if they ever get fully established, are unbeatable. A full-on base strategy and a full-on discard strategy. So, in a way, those are sort of your get out of jail free strategies where you're just like, okay, you know what? I just have to go for it because if I can pull it off, I will definitely win the game. You know? And I appreciate the attempt. I appreciate the effort. I think I like the plan. I like the idea. Sometimes you just don't get to execute your plan. Sometimes your opponent has a fucking, 20 something, 30 something damage turn, and you go from being only down a couple of life points to being in single digits and risking death on the next turn. It can turn that fast sometimes, especially with scrap down efficient decks. And so that's the tough part is when a deck gets scrapped down and gets efficient, you always have less turns than you think you do. And if your plan is like, okay, if I can survive 3 turns, I can turn this around. Sometimes you don't even get those 3 turns, and it's tough. It's tough, you know. But I may disagree with the decision to pivot, but once DB did pivot, they committed. DB committed and decided to go for it, and so I think that's good. If you do decide to pivot, you got to pivot hard, and you got to go with your strategy. Because at that point, it's too late to do a third strategy. It's too late to scrap you guys. It's too late. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video. A little long, but I appreciate you guys sticking through it. Thank you, DB, for the game. See y'all later.